Hey friends, I'm Scott and it's Azure Friday. Did you know that Microsoft Foundry provides observability across the full agent lifecycle from prototype to production using evaluations, tracing, monitoring, and optimization? And I'm going to learn how to do it today on Azure Friday. Hey friends, it's Azure Friday and I'm going to learn all about Microsoft Foundry and observability with Sebastian. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Excited to be here.
AI can be scary. Putting agents together can be a little bit imposing, but observability makes it so much easier to understand. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with Foundry, we provide end-to-end observability to help you get started with the prototype and then transition to production and scale your agents with confidence.
Now, observability as a concept, it's more than just tracing, right? Like it is being able to see and observe why decisions are being made at every layer. And the stack is quite deep when putting together an agent. And that's why I think it is initially a little bit imposing on people, a little scary.
Yeah, exactly. It's important to think about how you measure the quality and success of the AI applications and agents that you're building. And it's not just a one stop and done process. It is a set of living assets, and you need to continuously learn from what happens in production to improve your uh, improve your agents along the way.
Right. And you're going to help us do that by giving a demo that's going to show how you use evals and traces to kind of
Yep.
like monitor performance and then tweak and adjust to make sure that you're getting the expected behavior from your agents. So I'm excited to see your demo.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's do it.
Perfect. All right. So we have an agent here, Zavador's catalog agent, that answers product questions about an outdoor product catalog. So it's pretty straightforward. It has a file index attached that has information about the product catalog. There's some instructions that tell the agent what to do when a user asks specific questions about the catalog. And I can try this agent out in the portal. I can say something like, "Tell me about your tents, since camping season's coming up," and then I get some basic metrics. So these help me verify that the agent is working as expected. So this helps me get started. I can view the evaluation results once they've run, see that they've passed. I can click into the logs to see the full execution flow and so forth. But this isn't enough. I need to do more than this to actually confirm that the agent is doing what it's supposed to do. So I could show that
Well, how
in
do I
in the
know
next
it
bit.
says AI quality 100%? Isn't that just one AI telling another AI that it's amazing?
That's right. And in this case, we're just looking at task adherence. So did the
Ah,
agent adhere to the original task? So as I said earlier, when you do evals, your evals really need to be context specific. So here I
mm,
have an example. One of the things, if you have like a support scenario, is you want to make sure that your users that are interacting with the support chatbot, they're happy with the response, right? They're not escalating or wanting to escalate to a human support person. They're getting an answer as quickly as possible. And that's what we have here, effectively a custom evaluator that evaluates the whether or not the user is you're thinking about escalating
mhm.
because they're not getting the answer that they're looking for. So this is the type of thing that you need to do to really understand and hone in on the quality of the experience that you're building.
I noticed that you're kind of being responsible about your use of models, and you happen to be using a mini model and a small model. And I want to just shout out that being responsible and not using an unnecessarily large model is important. You're using, in this case, 4.1 mini to do a specific task, which means that the work is going to be kind of not just, maybe not free, but really, really cheap compared to doing something with a full on frontier model. If I'm using a smaller model like a mini in this case to do a really laser focused task. Is evaluation even more important in those contexts?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that one of the risks that you run into if you switch from a more powerful to a smaller model is you've shifted your foundation. So you need
Mm.
to run an evaluation, you need to understand how the agent is performing, and then do a comparison across versions. And that's something that I'll show in a second as we keep going with the demo.
Yeah, very cool. I'm learning a lot.
The other thing that I want to call out with regards to models, it's also important. model selection of the LM as a judge is also critical. So you want to make sure
Mm,
that you pick a powerful enough model to make sure that the LM as a judge can provide a good judgment as well.
okay. Now, are you evaluating every model, or this is just a process in the software development lifecycle as you're doing something? Like you're not every time I query the Java catalog, I'm not running an eval. This is like a sampling kind of a statistical thing.
You can do it here, sort of ad hoc. The
Hmm.
other thing that you can do that's important is you can run. Let me just show this real quick. So uh, once I go to production, I can set up what we call continuous evaluation. So this is
Oh, cool.
always on, running on your production traffic, and I can select the evaluators that I want to use, pick a judge model, and then also do some sampling as well, and set up alerts. So this complements what I can do in my offline tests, where I'm typically running a bunch of tests on the test data set of a smaller sample of scenarios that I'm testing. Whereas in production, I get a broader sense of what's going on, which can help me improve my evaluation strategy over time.
That is really powerful because, so often people are suspicious or maybe a little bit like, I don't know if I want to put AI in. How do I know if it's right? And the answer is you observe it, you evaluate it, you prove it. And in this case here, you have a high pass rate, but I saw under continuous evaluation, you're currently checking everything. And you can go and decide based on your needs and your cost requirements and your quality requirements if you want to evaluate all of them or just a sample. And that's really cool and easy to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And these are these are the outer loop signals, and we want
Mhm.
to feed these outer loop signals back into our inner loop so that we can drive continuous optimization. And in addition to running our test suite. So one thing that I'll show next, I'm going to hop to VS Code and
Mhm.
just walk you through this. Once I get to production, one of the things I want to do is I want to set up evals that run on every commit, so that I'm testing changes before they go out,
Mhm.
and then tracking how the agent is performing over time. And then from there, I can get insights and I can make decisions to improve you know, the prompt and the performance of my agent. And one of the cool things that we have now in the Foundry is we have Foundry MCP, which is built into the AI toolkit, and I can use Foundry MCP to do an analysis across my evaluation run. So I have one that's preloaded here. And what this will do is it'll just go through the steps. It will get evaluation results from the Foundry. It will get the current agent configuration. It will run a comparison, compare the different evaluation results. And then it will also get the continuous evaluation that I showed earlier. So if we have any production evals, it will pull those in as well, and then do an analysis. And this is pretty cool. I mean, you can see over time, I'm actually improving an escalation sentiment, which is the value that I showed earlier. So that's great. But there are some slight declines and some regressions, and I can dive into those in a second. Kind of.
When would someone discover that? Like, I'm used to finding things in tests, in continuous integration. You're in effectively a note. You're in a chat right here, but you could be in a notebook. How would I set my system up to alert me and treat that the same way I would treat a degradation in ping times or in something in my website being slower? Right. I want to be informed if my things degrade, and would want to understand why.
Yeah, you can do that in a couple of ways. One is you can integrate evals into your CI/CD, and you can set specific rules or policies to block commits from going out. So, for example, if the pass rate is below 80%, and I want maybe or below 70% in this case for escalation sentiment. Maybe I
Mhm.
want to block any commits from going out. Same thing with the continuous evals. I can set a threshold for an alert, and if that fires, then I want to go and analyze what happened to figure out what to do next.
This is interesting. I'm thinking about how I'm going to integrate this into my stuff because I use this work on my podcast. I wonder though, why do things degrade?
Yeah, it's a good question. So if I scroll down, one of the cool things that Copilot has done is actually pulled out a bunch of insights. So it says here there was a brand compliance regression. So brand compliance evaluator measures how well the agent is, the tone that the agent is using in its response.
Mm.
So, is it compliant with our brand? And one of the things that it called out is actually quite interesting. There's some tool call failures, and the agent isn't doing a good job
Ah,
handling those in its response. And if I scroll down further, I can see that Copilot actually suggested some improvements to the agent prompt. It says, "Hey, if there's a tool failure, um, you know, this is how you should respond. Say I'm, having trouble accessing catalog right now. Try again in a moment. Don't try to answer from memory or just general knowledge. So you're effectively preventing hallucination, which is
right, right,
pretty
right.
pretty cool that Copilot picked up on that.
Now, when you do something like that, you can put it into the instructions, which uses up, not only uses up context space, but isn't guaranteed. A tool call failure is something that is unambiguous. It's unambiguously wrong. You could fail out with that. Is there any concern that it might not detect that tool failure in the instructions, and there might be a more deterministic way to detect it?
Yeah, so that's absolutely a concern, right? Oh, it's adding a bunch of things to the instructions, and the instructions are getting longer and longer, and as your context window increases, the likelihood that your agent gets confused increases as well. So there are, a few things that you can do. One is, I mean, you could just simply, if you you could improve, the failure handling, right? You
Yeah,
could
like
add
if the tool call
retries.
fails, the
That's
harness is
right.
going to fail.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the bot is down,
That's right.
as opposed to trusting it to like follow an instruction. And this is, I think, a really great point. Then why people should think about when they put their Foundry agents together is you've got this ambiguity loop with grounded things, and that tool call is so important, the one that failed there, because without that tool call, to your point in the chat, don't attempt to answer from memory, right? Don't assume that you know. Always ask the tool, and that's how you get quality responses from an AI is by
Yeah.
grounding it in a database.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And then we have a whole bunch of other really interesting insights here.
Hmm.
We the Copilot is picking up on deflection score and some of the task adherence plateauing. So it's provided a bunch of other improvements. And then the cool thing that I can do next is I can say, hey, let me go ahead and follow up on some of the recommended steps. So I have these prompt changes that Copilot is suggesting, so I can apply those, and then I can run another evaluation and do a comparison, see if it improves performance.
Nice.
So this is, using the test data set that I have. The other thing is, there's some errors with the tool, right? And this is something that I'd have to go look into
Hmm.
in my knowledge base. And then it is suggesting that I should add a test subset for some more test scenarios that are missing. So this part is also very interesting. And we'll kind of double click on this a little bit. There's test coverage for agents. Uh, Evals are the new test primitive for agents, and
Mm.
there's no such thing as like 95% unit test coverage for agents, right? And so you have to continuously improve and sort of iterate on your offline test suite
Hmm.
to make sure that you have good coverage, and that you're capturing the key scenarios that need to be captured. So that's point number three. But I'm just going to initiate point number one, and we can get that going and see what happens.
Now, when you do these kind of evaluations like this, is this kind of a typical workflow to spend time in the chat? And this is the coding part. This is how one codes an agent and improves its quality. And I like that you're applying that evaluation in a very focused software development lifecycle way, just like I would have unit tests, integration tests, smoke tests, and full tests. Uh, you can't just eyeball it. You've got to do evaluations. It's essential to being successful, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, and this is the reason why we're building this sort of guided experience
Hmm.
into Copilot, and this, by the way, is also available in CLI, if that's kind of the preferred interface. Is we want to walk developers through the user journey,
Hmm.
so that it it becomes easier and more natural, right? This
Mm.
is evals are new to a lot of developers, and we really want to break it down and simplify it so that it becomes more approachable.
Okay. So how long does this take, and how long does an evaluation usually run? Does it just depend on the complexity of it and how many models it has to hit to make its decisions?
Yeah, this should take a few minutes. So you can see that it updated the agent. It's going to run the evaluation. So the evaluation will take probably 3 to 4 minutes to run through. The data set's fairly small. It's about 40, I think it's 40, 50 rows. Um, and then once it completes, it will do the comparison. But sometimes it can take longer, right? If you have more test cases, if you're using a larger model, it's going to take more time.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, once this completes, I'll be able to do the comparison. And then the cool part is I can keep going. I can keep hill climbing. I can keep making improvements. You do have to be careful though as you go. One of the things that you don't want to do is overfit. So at some point, you want to go back and
Hmm.
um,
Be happy with
it's
98% and try
yeah,
not to. You might
yes,
regress as you approach 100. I see that
yeah.
you got to
Oh,
relog
okay,
into Azure here.
okay, all right. So that's
We
let's do
might do
that.
the trick when you put the cake in the oven and then there's a already cooked cake on the
Yeah,
other side.
yep, that's right. Cool. But yeah, this will, once it completes, it will give me, should give me the output. Looks like it's still running through, yeah, step 2 out of 2. Um,
And
and
then can
then,
folks do this now?
yeah,
Like this is how you use Foundry, and this is something that's not in preview, correct?
that's right. So this is in the AI toolkit. It
Hmm.
is available. We have a lab actually that anybody can try out, and I'll share at the end, where that lab is located, and we'll provide a link as well.
Okay.
We are in the process of updating the lab, so we'll have new content in about a few weeks with a bunch of new features that we're shipping. So stay tuned. But the lab gives you kind of an end-to-end walkthrough of how to use the Foundry portal to get set up, and
Hmm.
then how do you walk through this flow, with the skills in Foundry MCP to leverage the observability features in VS Code. So yeah, you can try out everything right now. So we have a lab that you can use available here in Azure Samples that gives you an end-to-end walkthrough. So lets you try out things in the portal and then go through the same code first experience that I showed earlier. We're going to be updating this content in the next few weeks,
Hmm.
so you'll see some new content land. But I encourage you to check this out.
Very cool. So we can learn to observe, optimize, and protect AI agents in Foundry with that continuous and constant evaluation. All the tools are there, and a complete lab soon to be refreshed with even more tips on how to do this kind of hands-on work. Fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Sebastian, for hanging out with me today. I'm learning all about observability in AI Foundry today on Azure Friday.